All right, we're going to talk about what we find in the chart log 2 tally and the chart log 3 tally. We're going to start with chart log 3. It's pretty straightforward. Here, eTMACT is helping us track how many chart notes entries do we see from the specialist, and of those entries, how many are credited for some specialty work. So looking at these with the peer specialist and Sophie, she had a total of 7 entries across the charts, 6 of which were judged to be peer related. And so 86%. This information, 86%, is going to populate over into the rating tool. To help us make sense of the data on whether or not we believe she meets the minimal criteria of spending at least 80% of her time in her specialty role. So anytime you see blue boxes with yellow orange font, that is information that eTMACT pulled in from another source. Right here, you can see eTMACT bringing that data over for us to consider. Now, I want to point you to something that we brought up in another review or training video, and that is, unlike the standard paper-based TMACT, we built into eTMACT this question around manualized wellness management recovery services and informal, non-manualized peer support services. The reason we needed to do that is to be able to capture and credit where the peer is clearly doing work that reflects the peer, but is not necessarily manualized. I'm tripping around trying to find where I could find Sophie show up. And right here, that one was excluded absolutely, but here we have, because they were together. Here we have an example where Sophie had earned informal, non-manualized peer support services. Again, that green icon gives you examples of this. So this contact note would be credited towards her operating in the peer role. Now let's take a look at chart log 2 tally. This is summarizing data that we completed by way of what we call the long chart review or full chart review, where beyond the service notes for 6 subset of charts, we're also looking at assessments and treatment plans. Up at the top, you can click through to see the summary information that came from those forms. One thing that we will be changing or updating over time is giving you more information about which items these are referring to. Unless you're really experienced with the eTMACT, you may not know offhand what ST2 is, but it's the co-occurring disorder specialist work in the services provided. And so this is capturing data around the assessments and judgments there. And then it goes into daily team meeting and crisis planning, person-centered planning information. Of course, this is partially filled out. We'd hope it'd be fully filled out, but this demonstration only filled in pieces of it. And then PP3 is the life domain. And this is pretty quantitative data that gets calculated and used to rate the items. So if we looked over at that item in the rating tool, that data would populate over here. And when you're in the rating tool, you have easy ways to jump right back over to the log. One thing to point out, right now we are missing the tab that's relevant for employment services. And we will be fixing that soon. But just to show you, if you go into chart log access, go into one of the 6 forms that were filled out. This is the information that's being populated into those logs. And this section asking about employment services is right now missing in the tab. So you'd have to go and review each of the 6 charts and summarize that manually for now.